Good morning, everyone. I am Reverend Ken Reed Brown, minister at the Old Ship Church, First Parish in Hingham, Unitarian Universalist. And here is Christopher Nicholson Mann, our music director and musician extraordinaire. And we are pleased to be with you wherever you are to worship together this morning. Beautiful here in Hingham, and I hope wherever you are. We begin with a song. And this song, which some of you know, you can sing along. God's Counting on Me, God's Counting on You, Pete Seeger, applies to just about anything. As Earth Day approaches, it applies to challenges on the earth, certainly applies to the coronavirus through which we're living. When we look and we see things that should not be, God's counting on me, God's counting on you. When we look and we see things that should not be, God's counting on me, God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through, 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 me and you. There's big problems to be solved. Let's get everyone involved. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. There's big problems to be solved. Let's get everyone involved. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. What we do now, you and me, will affect eternity. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. What we do now, you and me, will affect eternity. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. I hope we have all ages singing wherever you are. This verse applies. When we sing with younger folks, we can never give up hope. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. When we sing with younger folks, we can never give up hope. God's counting on me, God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. One more time on that. Hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, hoping we'll all pull through, me and you. Oh, I think Christopher and I heard you singing wherever you are this morning. Once again, welcome to worship. Worship, which some call virtual, I consider it to be as real as any worship anywhere, just online, that's all. Worship, music, prayer, readings, a message, more times to sing together. Welcome.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of never know when I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you, Christopher. I don't think I had to tell anybody what that was. What a wonderful world, Louis Armstrong. Yes, we have gathered again for worship. Wherever we are, whomever we are, we have gathered. Neither space nor time preventing us from being together in spirit, supporting one another, reaching out hearts to one another, loving one another. For each of us, the hands and hearts of the one Spirit embracing all. Love, God of many names, God beyond all names. And may the flame of our chalice, lit with love, flame of truth, of freedom and community, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, may it remind us of all that we share wherever we may be on this one blue-green earth. And with that thought, before I light the chalice, a few words from Walt Whitman's Song of the Rolling Earth, as Earth Day approaches. Whitman wrote, "I swear the earth shall be complete to him or her who shall be complete. The earth remains jagged and broken only to him or her who remains jagged or broken. I swear there is no greatness or power that does not emulate those of earth. There can be no theory of any account unless it corroborate the theory of the earth. No politics, song, religion, behavior, or whatnot is of account unless it compare with the amplitude of the earth, unless it face the exactness, vitality, impartiality, rectitude of the earth." With all this in mind and heart, I light our chalice. Thank you, Christopher. That was Like a River Glorious, Like a River Glorious. Christopher and I are going to offer and invite you to join in another song, one really for all ages, so I think all music is for all ages. It's titled, What Can We Do? And the first line is, what can we do to make the world a better place? It's by Joyce Poley. Every year at about this time, I sing this song with some 4-year-olds at a local nursery school, Hingham Nursery School. And I almost always cannot get through that first line before they are telling me what we can do to make the world a better place. And I expect that would be true here if, in fact, you could be speaking out right now, although I guess you can on the chat if you want. What can we do to make the world a better place? Now, it's what's called a partner song. There are 2 parts, and eventually we'll be singing them at the same time, even though they're a little bit different. So I'm going to sing it all the way through, both parts, and then Christopher and I will each take a part and invite you to join in wherever you like. It all works. What can we do to make the world a better place? What can we do to make the world a better place? What can we do to make it better? What can we do? What can we do? What can we do to make it better? And here's part 2. Clean up our own mess. Clean up our own mess. Recycle the good stuff. Dispose of the bad stuff. Clean up our own mess. All right, now both parts at the same time. What can we do to make the world a better place? What can we do to make it better?
Recycle the good stuff, dispose of the bad stuff.
What can we do to make it better? Again. What can we do to make the world a better place? What can we do to make it better? What can we do?
Stuff, dispose of the bad stuff.
What can we do to make it better? Oh, there's another part. Love your brothers. Love your sisters.
Recycle the good stuff, dispose of the bad stuff.
Clean up our own mess. Well, thank you for singing along. I hope that's going to be in your head all day long, and certainly on Earth Day this Wednesday. What can we do to make the world a better place? There are plenty of things, and you're thinking of them already. You are doing them already. We know that. So Earth Day arrives, but every day is Earth Day. To my old brown Earth, now from Christopher and Pete Seeger.
To my old brown earth, and to my old blue sky, I now give these last few molecules of I. And you who sing, and you who stand nearby, I do charge you not to cry. God warm and chain, watch while you keep it strong, as long as sun will shine. And this is home. Keep pure and sweet and green, for now I'm yours, and you are also mine.
Thank you. We come to our time of lighting candles of joy, sorrow, and concern. Two of you have offered candles, asked that candles be lit on your behalf. The first from Carol Schuler, who asked for a candle for her and Herb's nephew, Andy DeWitts. He's an emergency room doctor at Boston Medical Center, currently one of the busiest, no surprise, in Boston. We light this candle for Andy and his good work, and for his family, his wife and son, and for their daughter, who lives in Brooklyn. And Lori Sprague has asked for a candle for her sister-in-law's mother, Catherine Salerno, who, as Lori writes, is slowly slipping away. We light this candle for Catherine and for all of her family unable to gather together with her at this hard time. And as I light these remaining candles, we may each bring to mind and heart a joy or a sorrow or a concern that is most with us this day. These candles burn for them all. And we now enter our time of meditation, prayer, and then silence. We pause, slow down, breathe into this moment, breathe into full presence, body, mind, spirit, feeling our shared presence in spirit, feeling held by love, the love we have for one another, and by the love that embraces all. And may we feel to our very bones that we are connected, yes, to one another, also and always to all life on our dear earth home. As we imagine the circulation of wind and water around our home planet, as we imagine our breathing out giving life to the blooming flowers and leafing trees, and the trees and grasses breathing out, giving life to us and to all creatures on this earth we share. And from this profound experience of interdependence, our heart's yearnings arise. Prayers to the God of our hearts, God of all blessings. For all in need this day and these days of help and healing, for whatever the reason, for the ill, for the hungry, for those facing financial hardship, for those grieving, along with our prayers of gratitude for all the helpers and leaders guiding us through these times. So we pause for a moment in silent communion wherever we are, whoever we are, whatever our circumstances this day. We pause in silent communion. Several brief readings this morning. These are the words from some of the Earth's astronauts over the years, from various nations. Only a few countries have had their own space programs, but individuals, men and women from a variety of countries beyond those have flown in space and looked back on our Earth. First, from Yuri Artyukhin from Soviet Russia. He said, "It isn't important in which seas or lake you observe a slick of pollution, or in the forests of which country a fire breaks out, or on which continent a hurricane arises. You are standing guard over the whole of our Earth." Rakesh Sharma, an astronaut from India, said, "My mental boundaries expanded when I viewed Earth against a black and uninviting vacuum. Yet my country's rich traditions," he said, "had conditioned me to look beyond human-made boundaries and prejudices." And Mohammed Ahmad Faris from Syria. "From space, I saw Earth indescribably beautiful, with the scars of national boundaries gone." Alexei Leonov from Russia. "The Earth was small, light blue, and so touchingly alone, our home that must be defended like a holy relic." Sigmund Jan from Germany. "Before I flew, I was already aware of how small and vulnerable our planet is, but only when I saw it from space, in all its ineffable beauty and fragility, did I realize that humankind's most urgent task is to cherish and preserve it for future generations." And astronaut Alfred Worden from the USA. "Now I know why I'm here, not for a closer look at the moon, but to look back at our home, the Earth." Here end the readings.
We come from the fire, living in the fire, go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water, go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain, go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See me one another clearly. We know who we are. Oh, so is life a lucky walk. So is life. Oh, so is life a lucky walk. So is life. Water make the river wash the mountain. Fire make the sunlight turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body of the mountain. Spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the Spirit, truly of the Spirit. Only can the Spirit turn the world around. Oh, so is life a bucky walk. So is life. Oh, so is life a bucky walk. So is life.
Everybody's cheering. Yeah, and they were singing along with you because so many remember Harry Belafonte and the Muppets singing this a long time ago. Thank you, Christopher. We can still find that Harry Belafonte and Muppets rendition, if you Google it, almost as good as Christopher. Thank you so much. An anthem, really, Turn the World Around, a praise song for the Earth. a praise song for the earth. Well, this Wednesday marks the 50th anniversary of the first Earth Day. But what many who are old enough might remember more vividly, and others remember from learning in history, is that just last week marked another 50th anniversary. The 50th anniversary of the successful return to Earth of Apollo 13, a mission that was anything but routine. The return to Earth, anything but routine, as many recall. Apollo 13 was the sixth mission to the moon. It was to be the third moon landing, but the landing was not to be. On their way to the moon, one of the oxygen tanks supplying oxygen to the men in the spacecraft exploded. The fate not only of the mission, but of the lives of the three astronauts was in grave danger. Landing on the moon was now out of the question. Safe return to the Earth was not even clear that that would be possible. Some were giving it about a 10% chance at one point. Only through the skill and clear-headed creativity of the controllers on the ground and the three astronauts hurtling through space did Jim Lovell, Jack Swigert, and Fred Haise return safely, splashing into the South Pacific on April 17th, 1970. At which moment Commander Jim Lovell said to his comrades simply, "Fellows, we're home." And the other day, as I read the details of the final hours, even minutes, of Apollo 13's voyage, hours which had followed one potentially disastrous event after another, not just the oxygen tank, but one after another thing. As I read these last hours, even knowing as I did that all would turn out well for the three, tears came to my eyes as I read those words, "Fellows, we're home." And here we are, too often taking for granted that we are home on Earth, too often deaf and blind to the daily miracles of flowing air, rolling water, of blue sky and clouds and sun, of Earth rolling and sailing through space, as daffodils are blooming, trees are leafing, peepers are peeping, birds are singing. Here on our home, the holy relic, as one of the astronauts put it, of our boundaryless home, beautiful home. The Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, writing a number of years ago, put this same thought so beautifully. He wrote, "I think the real miracle is not to walk either on water or in thin air, but to walk on Earth." Every day, he said, we are engaged in a miracle which we didn't even recognize. A blue sky, white clouds, green leaves. All, he said, is a miracle. Well, in a few days, we will indeed mark the 50th anniversary of that first Earth Day, begun all those years ago with such hope. And in fact, not only hope, that was a time when Congress, bipartisan, and President Nixon all agreed enough to pass the Environmental Protection Agency, Clean Water and Clear Air Acts, the Endangered Species Acts, within a very short period of time. And Earth Day played a part. Millions of Americans coming together played a part, making hope something real and substantive. Well, we still have hope. We still have big problems to be solved, as we heard in the opening song by Pete Seeger. And the hopes we have this day in relation to all kinds of environmental earth issues, climate change above all, can only be realized through the work of our hands, the dedication of our lives, the way we live our lives, emails, letters that we send, and our votes. That's how we realize the hopes we have. Now, many have noted that the stay-at-home lockdowns necessitated by coronavirus, for all of the real and terrible hardship that these measures have imposed on thousands, millions. But at the same time, it's been a bit of a healing time for the earth itself. as energy use has declined, as greenhouse gas emissions and other pollutant emissions have declined. And we, of course, must bring back the livelihoods, may or may not be always the same jobs, but must bring back the livelihoods of millions who are out of work around the planet. But the challenge is to do so in ways that don't just replicate business as usual, as it's often named, for it was business as usual that has, over decades, been overheating the planet and gravely threatening human life and all life on Earth. No, this means that the challenge will be to create a new, improved, normal business as usual. Business as a new usual, we might say, as coronavirus recedes. Create this new business as usual, greening our way of life on our home planet, living more gently on the earth, using less energy in all kinds of ways, including in our sometimes frenetic moving around. So maybe moving around less, which we've discovered we can do. And at the same time as we reduce the social inequalities that scar the lives of so many, inequalities of healthcare and economic status, these inequalities starkly laid bare by coronavirus. And all, as we rise to the task the German astronaut named humankind's most urgent task, as he put it, which is to cherish and preserve the earth for future generations. Our home, the earth. Wouldn't this be wonderful? And why not? Earth Day 1970, as we've said, gave rise not only to hope, but to real and substantive, life-changing action. Why not Earth Day 2020? Why not? After all, as the saying goes, if we could send men to the moon and bring them back safely home, why not? Why not? So may it be. We're going to sing again. I say we, not just Christopher and me, but all of us, I hope. It's a song we've sung at Old Ship a number of times. The Tide is Rising by Rabbi Shoshana Mira Friedman and Yotam Schachter. The Tide is Rising. For those of you playing at home, it's in the key of A. The tide is rising, and so are we. There's a lot of repetition. I think you'll be able to sing along. We're going to put Christopher in the screen as well as we lead together. The tide is rising, and so are we. 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 This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The task is mighty. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. The task is mighty, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The land is holy. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. The land is holy, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be. The sun is shining. The sun is shining, and so are we. The sun is shining, and so are we. The sun is shining, and so are we.
This is where we are called.
The world is ready.
The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. This is where we are called to be. This is where we are called to be.
The tide is rising, so are we. The world is ready, and so are we. Blessed by this life that we share, in the midst of whatever trials and sufferings, still blessed by love and the life we share. May we turn, and as best as we each can, in whatever ways we are able, may we turn and make of our lives a blessing to all life. Be well, be safe, take care of one another, and together may we take care of our earth home. May it always be so. Blessed be. Amen. I don't have to tell you what that was. We've got the whole world, and we've got the fate of the earth in our hands together. I extinguish these flames, flames lit with love, and the flame of our faith, faith in truth and freedom, in community, in love. I extinguish the flames, but cannot extinguish those qualities of freedom, truth, love. May we take those qualities into our lives this day and always. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Whatever this day brings to you, have a beautiful week. See you next week.